So a lot of people out there are trying to decide what they want to do with their side hustle. And today I want to let you guys know that there are so many different things you can do based off of your major interests. Now, I think overall there are 12 major interests. Only 12, that's right. And every single sub-interest goes off of those 12 interests. So I want to talk to you guys about all of these different 12 interests and kind of different paths that you can pursue with these major interests. So tell me if there is something here, comment below and let me know, that sounds like the type of interest you would want to pursue. So the first one out of all of these is environment. The environment is something a lot of people have passion about, and myself included. A lot of people like to think about ways that can benefit the environment, and a lot of people like doing just kind of outdoorsy things. And there are people out there that like to fish. Fishing isn't necessarily good for the environment, but I still kind of categorize it in the same category because it's an outdoorsy activity. And then there are people out there that like to do things with plants. And as far as fishing goes, there's a lot of different ways that you can make money from fishing, believe it or not. You can open up a fish shop, you can open up, a tackle shop, you can open up some sort of competition for other fishers. You can participate in the competitions for fishers, like fishing tournaments and things like that. You can sell fishing rods, you can sell baits, you can sell your secret of fishing, you can sell books of fishing. There's lots of different ways that you can make money from doing that. And as far as plants go, you could be into horticulture or gardening, you could be into trees, you could be into all these different things. And you could be a scientist for them, you could write books about them, you could go out there, you could try to identify different types of trees, or go out there and identify the different processes of trees that we haven't cataloged yet. Because there's so many different trees out there that are available for you to catalog that nobody has cataloged before. Now, there's other outdoorsy activities too, like for example, you could be interested in picking up trash for the environment. And believe it or not, there is actually a way to make money off of picking trash up for the environment, and that's by calling business owners and saying, hey, I could pick up your trash outside of your store for you for such and such amount of money. So believe it or not, no matter what you're interested in, you can actually make a little bit of money from it. You could also be interested in the ocean. And if you are, you can pick up trash in the ocean as well and start a non-profit business to make money off of that. So that's kind of the first area that I wanted to talk to you guys about. Now, number 2 out of these is art. Art is something that's a huge category. You can do all sorts of different things with art. You could be into just basic design, you could be into animation, you could be into 3D animation, you could be into logo design, you could be into creating motion graphics, there's so many different categories in art, and that's just the creation. There's actually a whole culture of artists that just appreciate art. And they put together museums of art that look great. And believe it or not, the design, the layout that they have in the museum is an art of itself. So, there's lots of different things that you could do if you're interested in art. And the next one there is music. Music was my first love. I loved music growing up for the longest time. So with music, there's so many different things you can do too. You can be a composer, you can create music for TV shows, you can create music for movies, you can create music for symphonies, for Broadway, you can create music to go play live shows for everybody. You can make simple YouTube music and make money off of YouTube. There's a lot of different things that you can do to make money off of music. And music is great because you can even just make money by going and sitting on the side of the road and just playing music. Maybe not the safest thing to do, but I've done it before and it's fun, it's a good time, and you do make a little bit of money if you are in the right spot at the right time. And there's a whole big science to being able to do that, because you have to know what songs to play for who, you have to know kind of a playlist that actually has a playlist feel to it. You have to be able to draw a crowd, and you have to be able to keep the crowd entertained, maybe talk to the crowd people while you're playing music. There's a whole ideology, science behind it that most people don't even realize there is behind just busking. So that's kind of the first 3 categories, and now we're going to kind of branch off a little bit, and I'm looking at my notes here on my phone, so don't mind me. The next thing is cars. Some people love cars. I don't know why, but some people just love cars. It's not me. But as far as cars go, you could be into engineering the cars, you could be into creating the car parts, I wouldn't really recommend an assembly line because typically assembly lines are not the most motivating job you can have because you're still working for somebody else. You can maybe create an assembly line and create cars. You can make your own car brand. I mean, Tesla came out of basically nowhere if you think about it. Before, we never had a brand like that before, and now here they are. Or maybe you could design cars like other categories for cars for Toyota. Like you could make the next Toyota Camry. You can make the next Toyota Corolla. You could just do so many things with cars. You could even do model cars, and you could buy cars, and you can flip cars as well. I grew up next to somebody who did this. He bought old cars and he flipped them and he sold them for a lot of money, and that was his main job. And you could even be a mechanic if you wanted to. There's a lot of different mechanics out there, and you could be the one that wants to be the one honest mechanic that everybody turns to. So as far as cars go, just like everything else, there's so many different things you could do. If that's your interest, just think outside the box. Don't think that just because you're into cars, you have to go work for an assembly line for such and such company. You love Ford, so you want to go work for the Ford company. Maybe you could do something else for the Ford company, like, I don't know, be a business strategist for them. Another thing that people are into is houses. Some people absolutely love houses. So one of the first things that I would kind of branch in that category, which could also be an art, is architecture. You could design houses, or you could do internal design for houses, or you could make furniture for houses. You could make your own wooden furniture, like carpentry style, for all these houses. You could do wallpaper designs. You could paint people's houses for them. You could flip houses if you were into that. You could buy real estate, flip real estate, not necessarily houses, but maybe apartments, condos, business buildings. And the next category here is hair. You could love hair and think that there's no way that you can make money from hair when there is a way that you can make money from hair. You could pick up people's donated hair and you can make wigs out of it. And then you're giving hair to people that don't have hair because people donated that. That's an industry. You could make dye for hair. You don't just have to do hairstyling. You could do other categories for hair too. Think outside the box there. And the same thing goes for medical. If you're into the medical category, if you are wanting to be a nurse or a doctor, maybe you could also make pharmaceuticals. You could make drugs for people. You could make natural remedies for people instead of these opioids that are kind of destroying the market right now. And another thing you could do is you could make medical devices for people, like perhaps wheelchairs. You could do engineering for like x-ray technology or something like that to make the technology better. I mean, there's lots of different things that you can go into that category, along with being a doctor or a nurse if you were interested in that. But we all know that that's there, so I don't really want to go into that. And as far as law goes, you could love law, and you can actually be a lawyer pretty much completely online nowadays. As weird as it sounds, you can go to a website and you can find an online lawyer that would pretty much just type you up a document and put a lawyer stamp of approval, quote unquote, on it and say that it has been approved by a lawyer. This is done, we're hiring a lawyer. Or as far as law goes, you could be into politics. You could want to be a judge, you could want to be some sort of political face, or you could try to get into law and politics by having a lot of money and donating to the city and having a spot on the chair of the city because you've donated so much money to the city, if that makes sense. Now, another one out there is accounting, and just like law, as far as accounting goes, you can actually go to online websites where you can do people's accounting for them. So you don't actually have to work for a business, but you still want to have your CPA or whatever certification you have for the country that you're in, because that makes it more identifiable. Now, some people just love numbers. I put numbers under the general accounting category, but as far as numbers go, there's lots of things that you can do with numbers. There are mathematicians always hired every day for high-paying jobs because nobody loves math except for you select few crazy people out there. I know who you are. Well, I don't understand you, but I know who you are. You guys have to know that there's so much different ways that you can make money out there from money. Basically, you could go out there and you could redo people's budgets, you could redo people's taxes, you could solve these mathematical scientific equations that are boggling the modern scientists nowadays about things like space or the ocean as far as pressure goes, what could sustain life in the ocean. There's so many different ways that you could use this mathematic category with another category as well. Now, there's another category here which is kind of outdoorsy, and it's construction. Some people love building things, like the people that grew up with Legos, and they love Legos, and maybe they still play with Legos, and they just love it. They want to create things, and there's nothing wrong with that. As far as construction goes, just like housing, you could get into carpentry here, you could get into furnishing here, you could build people's houses for them, you could do people's roofs for them, you could clean people's gutters or redo their trim, you could paint people's walls for them, you could do construction for the federal government if you want to do that. You could get into contracting for the federal government with constructing. You can do so many different things with construction that really, if you start getting into federal contracting, you can actually kind of expand your horizon out and start to look at different ways that you can do construction other than just building. You could be clearing the landscape for them to make the building if you were interested in that. There's so many different ways that you can do this, and there's so many different random contractors that get hired by the government for little projects, and that market is definitely out there if that's what you're interested in. Now, there's also fashion. Fashion, just like other things, has a lot of subcategories. You could get into jewelry, you could get into gem cutting, which is kind of fashion, because if you're doing gem cutting, it's kind of for fashion, since it's for people's rings or necklaces or bracelets or whatever it is. So if you're looking at that, you can do that. You can do t-shirt printing, just t-shirt designs. You don't have to do the printing, but maybe the design, like the design on this shirt or something like that. You could do dress designs. You could do suit designs. You could do nice shirt designs. I mean, fashion is a whole market. And then there's also, you could follow modern fashion and do your own modern fashion line, which is harder to break into, but if you start to get yourself a diehard audience following, then you can notice that you actually don't really need to break into the actual industry for it, because you can generate your own revenue from just your audience that you have right there. Now, if your goal is to just be the fashion guru and be the most famous fashionista out there, you can do that as well. You can be the next Jeffree Star. And that's another thing you can do, is you can do makeup. You can do cosmetic stuff with fashion. There's so many different ways that you can expand out there. And the final thing is teaching. Some people just love teaching. Some people love giving knowledge to other people. Now, a great way that you can teach is YouTube. You can make money from YouTube. That's a great way to teach and to get out there, because you can actually interface with people online. There's other online websites as well that allow you to do the teaching, such as Skillshare. I'm not sponsored, but I'm going to throw it out there because that is an option. There's other places you can do teaching online other than just a brick and mortar classroom. You can actually teach for a school online too. Now, if you want to go to a brick and mortar classroom and you want to do elementary or middle school to help them learn, by all means do that. Or even you could open a daycare and help these infants start becoming a sponge to absorb the knowledge of the world around them. If teaching is what you're into, more power to you, because there needs to be more teachers out there that are actually genuinely passionate about teaching. So I hope that I'm kind of expanding your thinking here about different industries that you can get into. And some of you guys out there are still going to be sitting there thinking, well, I still don't know what I want to get into. If you take these major categories and you choose a major category out of these that you're interested in, maybe you've always been passionate about the environment, maybe you've always been passionate about music, or maybe you've always been passionate about music, art, and hair at the same time, and you want to find a way to combine them all. There's nothing wrong with combining them all, and you can do that by trying to create an invention if you want, but you can also try to create your own little industry, because the more niched up you are as a business, the more people will start to recognize you for something that you are. Now, every business does YouTube. I mean, every business does Instagram. Every business does Facebook. This doesn't niche you up. What niches you up is by having you be specialized in one singular industry, and then people will start to look for that. But if you want to expand your horizons and work on other side projects, you can do that as well. it's really crazy because it's pretty split out there by the people that say that you should stick to one thing and you should specialize in that, or you should do a million different things and have as many different businesses as you want. But I think that really you can do whatever you feel right to do. I don't think that us as humans, we have one major passion and that's all we're ever passionate about. I think people are multifaceted and they have so many different interests, and that's who they are. They like all these different things, but most people try to just only like one or two things for some reason. They don't like to experiment in other things that they're interested in. If you're interested in possibly fitness, then try out fitness. If you're interested in fitness and music, then try out fitness and music. If you're interested in fitness, music, and construction, then try out all three of them and see which one feels right to you. See which one you can grow and be passionate in. There's no reason that we should only have one skill stuck to one industry. In my opinion, some people are built that way to where all they ever want to do is one thing. They love art and that's all they've ever wanted to do. They love music and that's all they've ever wanted to do. And you can definitely tell those people out from the crowd. You can tell who the people are that are genuinely passionate about their trade because they seem to be on another level than everybody else since they specialize in it. But the reality of the situation is most people are not built that way. So if you are built that way, then try to stick that way for as long as you can, because you are going to stand out in the crowd. But if you're not built that way, then choose your business, and if that doesn't work for you, choose another one. And if that doesn't work for you, choose another one and go through it, but stick to it for a longer period of time. Don't just stick to it for a few months. Try a couple of years and see if you're genuinely passionate about that business. The other thing is people change, our interests change, and it's okay that our interests change. Now, our business is basically, 33% of our life if you're putting in 8 hours, but most business owners put in more than 8 hours into their business, which means it's more than a third of your life that you're spending in your business. So that means that you should find something that you're passionate about, and if you start losing the passion, then maybe you should tweak it and make yourself a little bit more passionate about it, or you can sell it and start over if you're interested in that. So that's all I got for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I am going to put out another video on Thursday. Please like this video. Please leave a comment below and let me know what you guys think your general category is. And I will see you guys next time. Bye. And subscribe too.